Hi guys, and welcome back to another Dot Race video, and today we're going to be playing MotoGP 21. Our Moto2 World Championship continues with round 16 of the twin ring Motegi. Grant on pole position with Remy Gardner and Lowes on the front row, with Motegi, Di Giannantonio and Fernandez on the second. Roberts, Agora, Fernandez, Schrotter, Dixon, Navarro, Arbolino, Ben Schneider, Canet, Vietti, Baldassari, Manzi, Vierge, Bobier, Ramirez, Corsi, Cyrene, Dalla Porta, Luti, Arenas, Buliga, Montella, Baltus, Garso, and Somkiat Chandra at the back of this Japanese GP. So we look to the lights, waiting for the red ones to disappear, and away we will go. Brilliant start there for Grant. I'm going to have to try and balance between power setting 2 and 3 to make sure we don't spin up the rear. Someone's crashed already, so something has happened behind us, but I have no idea what. We ran a little bit wide for turn 1. Will Gardner and Lowes take advantage? And they certainly have. Gardner up into the leading positions with Sam Lowes in second and Grant just in third. Joe Roberts trails by a tenth of a second as Grant. Will he try and dive up the inside of the fellow Brit? Not quite going to get that done. Going into turn 3, a little bit of a slide there from Remy Gardner and Grant, both following the same particular line. Lowes is doing pretty good so far. Not seeing much of a mistake coming from the man from Lincolnshire, but we'll try and get past him in a moment's time. He's going to cut my nose off a little bit here, going into the corner of turn 5. Difficult to get this bike moving around these very, very treacherous conditions. Of course, this is a wet track, so there is a chance that things will dry out, but it doesn't look to be drying anytime soon. There is some clear skies ahead of us, and the temperature isn't too bad as we get onto the left-hand side for turn 7. Very difficult corner, as someone behind us has just found out, as that is a yellow flag once again already in this very, very early days of this stages of this Grand Prix. But now onto the left-hand side for turn 9, the V corner. Where are we going to try and find a lunge up onto Sam Lowes? Do we have a moment of a chance of a prayer? Not quite. Sam Lowes is probably going to have the inside line going into the hairpin curve, and he does exactly that. Let's try and get in behind him at the very, very least, or get through on him so we can chase down Remy Gardner. But of course, behind Sam Lowes, Remy Gardner this is the last thing I wanted. I'll be honest with you guys. I was pushing pretty hard, especially going into turn 1, to try and remain ahead of Remy Gardner. I did not fancy Gardner getting away at the front. You know what he's like when he gets to the front. He's like Lorenzo. He can start churning out those ridiculously paced lap times, and we just can't compete. We're getting onto the left-hand side. Do we have a lunge coming in now for sort of Sam Lowes? A bit of contact there. Sam Lowes says, no thanks, pal. Stay in behind me. I'll do the business. I'll chase down Remy Gardner. You just sit there and wait your turn. And well, we don't really appreciate that. And, you know, we're going to be charging through on him anytime soon if we get the chance. But onto the right-hand side we go for turn 1. Turn 2, another right-hand side. Getting right behind Sam Lowes. Utilise the setting of power setting 3 and try and get through on him going into this difficult turn 3. Hard on the brakes we go. Turn 3, here it comes. Grant into the left-hand side. Do we manage to get ahead? Yes, just about. It's close. But we do manage to maintain in second place for now. 9/10 of a second is the gap to Remy Gardner. And of course, as mentioned many, many times in my videos before, if you manage to get that 1 second lead, you can break the resolve of the men behind you. And I think that's what Gardner's already done right now. I was going to say Grant, but we don't have a second lead. We have oh my goodness, is Sam Lowes going to try and do the move up into the 130R? Sam Lowes is looking treacherous in this one, in these equally treacherous conditions. I really don't think he should be going as aggressive as he's doing, but of course I'm not Sam Lowes. We're trying to defend everything we can and try and chase down Remy Gardner, who's 1.5 seconds clear now. This could be curtains already for Remy Gardner and the rest of the field. He looks to be happy at the front, and he is beginning to churn out those fast lap times. I'm going to have to drop down the power settings because I don't like looking at that red fuel sign in the bottom right hand corner of your screen there, because it's just a little bit too concerning. We're going into the hairpin curve, and we're a little bit wide there as we bring on the power for power setting 2. I do still see Sam Lowes in the picture there. He was just very, very close to the right hand side towards the graphic, but he's now half a tenth of a second behind us, and we could pretend, oh, there it is. The Elfmark VDS man has already made his way through going into turn 11. The 90 degrees corner sees the number 22 get ahead of the number 47. Brilliant result there for Lowes, but we really tried to get through back into turn 13 and potentially for the victory corner of 14. Let's get right in behind Sam Lowes now, and across the line we'll go in a moment's time. Remy Gardner, fastest man on track by a country mile. The only man into the 159s right now. I don't think anyone's going to get even close to that. as we get onto the right-hand side. Sam Lowes is still occupying second, but for how much longer? We're still utilising the medium tyres just like everybody else here, so we're going to see a difference as more and more the way this track dries out. Right now it still feels very, very slippy on this circuit, and touching the rumble strip there certainly didn't help. We're getting onto the left-hand side for turn 4, trying to get back into the rhythm again, trying to get behind Sam Lowes and trying to take some tenths away from him. But as far as the gap at the front goes, I think that's it. I think Remy Gardner has well and truly secured the win in this one already. Hopefully he makes a mistake. You know, we did see a mistake coming from him in Portimao, which was a long, long time ago. At least it certainly feels that way. Roughly 10 rounds ago was Portimao, and that was, of course, gifted us our very first victory. And of course, guys, if you are enjoying this series, the best way to enjoy it a little bit further is to hit that subscribe button so you won't miss any future uploads from this Dr. Ace Moto2 World Championship. And I tell you what, guys, since you're already there clicking that subscribe button, you might as well give it a little bit of a like as well. But back onto the rear of Sam Lowes, we've got the hairpin curve to tackle now, and if we get close enough, we could have a good amount of slipstream here coming out of this corner. So here we go, full acceleration now, power setting 2, try and get behind Sam Lowes and get closer and closer, and hopefully we can have a lunge going up into turn 11. We're not going to be close enough this time, but hard on the brakes will go nonetheless. We could go around the outside, potentially, not quite, we did run it in a little bit too much. But Remy Gardner has well and truly got this one secured, hasn't he? Joe Roberts behind us by 0.4 of a second, so you American fans can rejoice that he's very, very close to the podium. Not podium potential yet, but give him chance, because you never know what's going to happen in this Grand Prix. And across the line we will go. Our first 1:59, but it's still nowhere near close enough to Remy Gardner's time of a 1:59.503. 0.3 of a second clear is the Red Bull KTM Iowa man, so I don't think we're going to be chasing him down anytime soon. If the track dries out pretty quickly, we might be able to gain some extra traction, but honestly I don't think so. I do believe that this is going to be a two-man scrap for second position. Now, to be honest with you, second, third place in a track like Motegi for me, I'll be very, very happy with. But starting from pole position in quite dominating fashion, the wet weather certainly has scuppered our chances of a victory here today in the Japanese GP. We're going to have to wait for a potential MotoGP victory in the future. We're getting on the rear of Sam Lowes once again. I'm thinking a lunge going into turn 7, because I know I'm pretty quick going into turn 6, but we don't quite have the line to get into turn 7. He was quite positioned beautifully there, actually, for Sam Lowes to not allow us to get through. But turn 8 for the S-curve, we might have a chance getting alongside Sam Lowes. A little bit of a movement there just to make sure I don't bump into the side of him. But Sam Lowes, does he fancy a lunge back up on the inside? He certainly does. Brilliant move there from Lowes up into the V corner. Lowes really wants to hold on to the second position, but at this point I guess Sam Lowes knows that if he lets us get through, we might get away. So potentially that is why he's defending extremely well, as once again he retaliates going into the hairpin curve. So under the Monster Energy sign we will go. We're still right on the behind of Sam Lowes. We might have a lunge going into turn 11. Is it going to stick? Turn 11, here comes the brakes. Look at Sam Lowes getting out of shape, so is Grant. But Lowes still hangs on to second place. Brilliant battle is brewing here between these two men. Is Grant going to dive up on the inside? That is a gorgeous manoeuvre up on the inside for turn 13 and then turn 14. Marc Marquez, take note, that is how you get through on someone in turn 13 and the victory corner. So across the line we go. We actually weren't too far away from our previous best lap time there. We had a good lap, considering we did have to make that pretty cool overtake, but nice move there ahead of Sam Lowes. But unfortunately we did run it wide into turn 1, which compromised that exit for turn 2. However, Sam Lowes must have made a mistake, because he's 0.2 of a second behind us, even though we made that mistake of our own. But onto the left hand side we go, still utilising power setting 2 for the time being. I don't really want to use power setting 3, because of course the tyre spins up a little bit much, and well, I don't want to use all my fuel. But on hard on the brakes once again for this difficult, innocuous corner of turn 5. On the right hand side we go, nice tight apex, and we'll just try and get away from Sam Lowes, not allow him to chase us down. And of course still plenty of laps to go, not even halfway distance yet, but we're getting close enough to. Probably after a couple more corners we're roughly halfway distance of this 11 lap GP. But for the time being, I'm feeling pretty confident. Losing 5 points to Remy Gardner, considering we absolutely dominated Mazzano and he didn't feature on the podium. We did manage to regain the championship lead, and of course Remy Gardner just taking 5 points away from us is not the end of the world. And this is what we got to do now. We're not that far away from the completion of this Moto2 championship, so we need to make sure we take the maximum amount of points available to us at that particular time. And today the maximum points are going to be on offer is 20 points. So let's try and just concentrate on taking the 20 points. Let's not try and chase them down like we did in Catalonia and many other races where we've been forced into a situation and end up crashing due to the added pressure. We crashed in Austin, we crashed in Catalonia as mentioned, Sachsenring, and of course the Kimi Ring, and I don't recall any more crashes, but I do believe we've not had the best of GPs this season. Now, of course, we are in a good lap here, ladies and gentlemen. Nothing to really get excited about, but we have taken a couple of tenths away from Remy Gardner. And I did say once the track started to dry out, we could potentially be a little bit closer and closer. And I tell you what, it's a 1:59.4 there. Grant has taken a tenth of a second away from Remy Gardner's fastest lap from earlier on, so Grant now holds the fastest lap of the GP. Shame there's no additional points in MotoGP, but honestly, I don't think it really matters. We're going into the difficult left-hander in a moment. Hard on the brakes we go for turn 3 on the left-hand side. Make sure we don't touch the apex too much, and we didn't, and that was beautiful. Left-hand side for turn 4. Are we able to get that gap down to 2 seconds? If we can get that gap down to 2 seconds in a couple of laps, maybe we'll have a chance. I don't know, though. It's going to be very, very difficult to chase down 2.5 seconds to a man of Remy Gardner's calibre. Oh my lord. I messed that word up, and I messed that corner up. Never mind, 0.2 of a second is the gap now to Sam Lowes. Not even that, it's 0.1 of a second. And the gap to Remy Gardner went up to 3.5 seconds. Yeah, that is curtains. We're not going to chase down 3.5 seconds. I did try and brew some sort of entertainment there as Sam Lowes dives over the inside. And there it is. Straight back to it once again. Sam Lowes wants to get through. And we're back to this tete-a-tete with the men from Britain. The Lincolnshire man versus the man from Warrington. Here we go then, ladies and gentlemen. We've got a couple more laps now of the Sam Lowes versus Grant skirmish. I think I bottled it, actually. We did get into that sort of rhythm, and I thought, you know what, we might have a chance to chase Remy Gardner down, and then the mistakes came. Trying to just gather too much extra time in one particular corner never, ever works out. Turn 11, can we get through on Sam Lowes? Hard on the brakes, the right foot is on the floor. Sam Lowes defending well. I cannot believe that we've allowed Sam Lowes to get back ahead of us once again. He must feel like Christmas has come early once again, because he's going to try and take away our 20 points. We're going to get close to 13, close to 14. Still behind Sam Lowes. Good acceleration out of here is absolutely necessary to get into turn 1, into second place, of course. But I think Sam Lowes' defensive line there is going to prohibit us from getting through. Sam Lowes hard on the brakes, a little bit of a slide. We're going to dive over the inside. That's a wonderful manoeuvre. Absolutely wonderful manoeuvre. We baited Lowes in and we took advantage of it. That is what you got to do sometimes. You know, just entice them in, say, come on in, the water's lovely. And when they get in, it's ice cold. Didn't even get a chance to dip his toe in the water. And now we're up into second place with a very, very frustrated and eager Sam Lowes to get on through once again. But of course, now it's a simple case of just keeping Sam Lowes at bay. We have 5 laps remaining of this GP. We have to just maintain this pace and remain in second place. But Sam Lowes is going to put an end to that as he almost touches my rear tyre there. Usually front tyre touching rear tyre will send the front tyre down to the floor. But this game has a weird way of doing that sometimes. As Sam Lowes is already back up into second place. The idea of holding on to second certainly didn't materialise for Grant. But we've closed really, really close now going into turn 7. Turn 8, we're going to be really, really tight. Turn 9, of course, the chance for it to make an overtake is probably not going to materialise there. But onto the left-hand side, we will go for the V-corner. Nonetheless, let's try and get back into the rear. A little bit of contact made there between the two British riders. What a battle these two are putting on, especially under these very, very difficult circumstances with the track conditions the way they are right now. But the hairpin curve, Sam Lowes will yet again rise to the top. Up into second position goes the man from Lincolnshire, the Elfmark BDS rider, beating the Petronas SRT Kalex. Going into turn 11, who is going to be harder on the brakes? Once again, it is Sam Lowes defending well. He really chucks the bike in front of us there to try and maintain that position, to try and keep us at bay. Exactly what we had in mind for him earlier on in a couple of earlier corners. Turn 13, turn 14 to the right-hand side. Beautifully done. Could we potentially have the same sort of lunge going into turn 1? But I'm trying to get in behind him, and Sam Lowes looks like he's got a bit of additional speed as Remy Gardner started chucking in some ridiculously paced lap times. The gap to him is roughly 5 seconds now, so forget about Remy Gardner at the front. He's already checking out as the officials will etch Gardner's name onto the winner's trophy. But for the time being, who's going to finish in second and who is going to finish in third position? I did think that Joe Roberts would be able to chase us down a little bit, considering this battle is still raging on, and this battle is really heating up, and as it's heated up, it looks like the track has begun to dry. You can see some dry lines forming, not many of them yet, when in a couple of the braking zones you can see some particular dry lines on your screen right now. But onto the right hand side for turn 5 we go. A little bit of a mistake going onto the right hand side, just touching the apex a little bit too much as we go onto the right hand side. Once again, another right hand corner for turn 6. Sam Lowes has developed a little bit of a lead there as we just touch the grass and just give ourselves a second track limit warning, but at this stage of the race not too worried of the sense of track limit warnings. I don't think I'll reach 5 unless I go absolutely crazy on it, which I don't think will happen. But onto the left hand side for the V corner. Things have calmed down just a little bit as Sam Lowes has gained 4/10 of a second clear. Who knows what's going to happen though. Sam Lowes has got a good lap coming here. Maybe third place is in our future if Sam Lowes continues to push like this. I really don't want to ruin it. We're in a good situation, the track has begun to dry. We have the medium tyres of course, so they are going to be okay on a drying surface. If they were soft option tyres, then of course things would be we would be a bit more concerned, let's say, as we go into turn 11 for the 90 degrees corner. Right on the rear of Sam Lowes, and under the bridge we will go. Flick it to the left hand side for turn 12, onto the left once more for 13, and onto the right for turn 14. You know how this track works right now. But coming out of the victory corner, we could be closing in on Sam Lowes. I did think we were going to get a little bit behind there, but across the line we will go. No improvement from us in the sense of fastest lap, as Remy Gardner sets a 1:58.836, but we did manage to set a 1:58 lap nonetheless. Not sure what Sam Lowes set, but it's got to be very, very close, if not better, than my lap previously. So on the rear of Sam Lowes we go. Do we have enough to get through? A little bit of a bump there going into turn 3. Oh, is he going to touch my rear tyre? Oh, we did touch the rear tyre, but thank goodness we sat the motorcycle up there, because I expected us to both go down into turn 3 on lap 9, but thank goodness both men stayed on the respectable motorcycles. Oh, I panicked for my life there on the edge of my seat. Hands were beginning to clench up. But thank goodness we managed to survive, because that is the worst thing in MotoGP video games. Same can be said for Ride 4. You make the lunge up on the inside and they just touch your rear and they send you straight down to the floor and into the kitty litter. Well, thank goodness that didn't happen there. But onto the left hand side we go for turn 7. 2/10 of a second is the gap now to grant to Sam Lowes. Is Lowes going to retaliate? He has 3 laps, roughly 2.5 laps now, to try and beat us for this second position. Sam Lowes' championship is not looking as strong as Grant's or Gardner's ahead, so he's going to have to do everything he can to try and retake second place to get some more additional points to battle for the championship standings. But for the hairpin curve, 3/10 of a second is the gap to Sam Lowes. We might have done this. 2/10 of a second, 1.5 of a second. No, I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. Monster Energy sign we go. 2/10 of a second roughly to Sam Lowes, but you know how strong he is on the brakes going into the 90 degrees corner. Will he do the same once again? Actually, we gained an extra 10th, 2/10 of a second. Goodness me, I did not expect that. I expected Sam Lowes to dive up in the inside with reckless abandon to pinch second place, but it looks like we've held on to it for now. Coming out of the victory corner, once we go into there on lap 11, unfortunately for us, it won't be victory corner for us, but for Remy Gardner, who set a 1:58.632, he is certainly looking at a brand new result for him. I don't think he's won here in Motegi before, so this is going to be a wonderful result here for the Australian just ahead. And of course, speaking of Australia, we go to Australia very, very soon, and I'm sure he'll be looking forward to that one. But next stop is going to be the Chang International Circuit, which I very much look forward to. Didn't manage to take a victory there last season as we were taken out by Gabriel Rodrigo. Hopefully that won't come to a fruition this time of a potential crash into the difficult right-hander before the couple of back straights towards the end of the race. But for now, penultimate lap, up by 3/10 of a second on this particular lap, and we have gained 9/10 of a second to Sam Lowes behind. This could be it, ladies and gentlemen. Your podium could have already been decided. No sign of Joe Roberts behind to tackle Sam Lowes, and I haven't really seen any changes on the left-hand side of the screen, so a quick recap is in order. Remy Gardner in first position, as you can see, 5 seconds clear from Matt Grant in second, 0.5 of a second further to Sam Lowes in third place, and Joe Roberts, Raul Fernandez, Marcel Schrotter, Jake Dixon and Tony Arbolino are your top 8 as things stand. Good to see Jake Dixon getting some valuable points in for the team championship, but I'm pretty certain the team championship is already over. The Red Bull KTM IO squad have just been too dominant this season. I don't think we've led it at any point. I think the Red Bull KTM riders have just been way too good all season long. So into turn 11 for the second time to last. The penultimate lap is upon us, of course. Onto the right hand side we'll go, and under the Dunlop Bridge as well. And I must say I'm pleased with our performance in this one. I did feel like this pressure was going to be a bit too much for us. It's been a while since we've been in the wet, and of course both times in the wet haven't been very, very good. We managed to finish on the podium last time in the wet, well, the first time in the wet, sorry. The last time in the wet we were in Kimi Ring, which was just an absolute disaster of a race, which I don't even think we need to discuss, because of course I don't like the Kimi Ring at all. But this will be a very, very good result for us, finishing second place here on Motegi. I'm going to be holding on to my hat though. Hopefully I'm not going to jinx myself, because we still have one more lap to go. 5.5 seconds is the gap to Remy Gardner. The leader has just been absolutely dominant. But again, with Remy Gardner, it doesn't look like he's going to just disappear to the front. You know he has that potential, but once he gets to the front, he honestly just chucks in ridiculous lap times and just is unbeatable. Granted, Sam Lowes and I, we messed around a bit too much. We had a fight, we were infighting all the way, and that really scuppered our chances of chasing down Gardner up ahead. But honestly, I don't think anyone was going to beat Remy Gardner here today. He was quick in the warm-up, and again, even quicker in the race. Well, turn 8 we go for the S-curve for the final time of asking, with Sam Lowe 0.6 of a second behind. Second place is certainly in our future now, so I'm going to be very, very pleased. Losing 5 points to Remy Gardner will put him 6 points behind in the championship standings, and if we have a good result in Chang, in Australia, Sepang, Valencia, we'll be holding on to a championship lead quite comfortably and taking home a second World Championship. Of course, Remy Gardner wants to dethrone us from that championship status. Still the Moto3 World Champion, don't forget. We are still holding on to the precious prize of Moto3. The battle rages on between Jan Mamassi and Pedro Acosta in Moto3 right now. As we get onto the right hand side for the 90 degrees corner for the final time of asking. Left hand side for 12. Left hand side for 13, right hand side for victory corner, and there it is. Remy Gardner will cross the line in the top position. Victory goes to Gardner, second position goes to Grant, and third place to Sam Lowes. Good result here in Motegi. So a quick recap is required. Remy Gardner wins very, very comfortably, with Grant and Sam Lowes in second and third place respectively. Joe Roberts, Fernandez, Schrotter, Dixon, Arbolino and Bezecchi as your top 9. So looking at the championship standings, as mentioned earlier, Remy Gardner has taken 5 valuable points away from Grant's championship lead. Raul Fernandez puts himself in third place with Sam Lowes joint with 67 points behind. A look at the team championship, and Red Bull KTM IO, as mentioned once again, comfortably sitting at the top position with 67 points clear from Petronas Sprinter Racing and a whopping 161 clear of the Elfmark VDS Racing team. Second place here in Motegi feels like a victory. Magnificent result for Grant and the Petronas SRT team, but of course losing 5 points to Remy Gardner doesn't feel too good, but nonetheless guys, great result. But guys, hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, like, comment and subscribe. Hit the notification bell to be alerted to every single Dot Race upload. And upon that note guys, thanks for watching and ciao for now. Oh hi, didn't quite see you there. Good to see you're still here. If this video didn't quite set your appetite, then why not watch some more Dot Race content by clicking the video shown on screen now. Furthermore, if you would like to follow me on social media, you can do so now with the links down in the description. Consider subscribing so you don't miss a single Dot Race video.